This happened to me when I was 12. Every summer we would go visit my grandma's house in Ecuador around my birthday. I remember this one as one of the worst, even though I try my best to forget about it. So it was around my 12th birthday that I was there to celebrate. I remember we would always stay at my grandmother's place. There were 7 vacant bedrooms, so we each had a room. On the night of my birthday, I came back to my grandma's house absolutely showered with gifts from the party. One of which was this cute little music box one of my grandma's friends gifted me. It was about close to midnight that we were all in our bedrooms settled ready for bed. The curiosity of that music box kept drawing me towards it as if it were calling my name. I grabbed the box and sat down on a small bench in front of the desk which had a mirror on it, lit by a small disco ball looking thing on the ceiling and a small candle right next to me. As I opened the box, I got chills simultaneously as though maybe playing with this was a bad idea after all. I began winding the lever all the way back. Suddenly, the not so typical tunes began playing. This music was really creepy. I quickly grew uncomfortable as I ran to the door and tried to open it as the music was still playing. I was banging on the door as the stupid thing wouldn't open. I looked back at the box and the music was still playing. And then what I saw next, I'm scared to even mention it to this day as it still causes me trauma. I saw what I can describe only as a dead woman. A woman in her wedding dress, and that's as much detail as I'd like to share. I began screaming and stomping and crying as everyone came to my rescue and unlocked the door for me. I hugged my mom and told her exactly what had happened. "Where did you get that box?" my grandma asked. She said that box belonged to one of her deceased friends from her teens. And yes, she did indeed kill herself after her wedding for unknown reasons. Where the box came from and who was the woman who gave it to me will forever remain a mystery. A mystery I care nothing to know about. Ever since, my grandma's kept that box in one of her vacant rooms, and we never talked about it ever since. It's kind of crazy how one object can change your whole entire life. Back in '93, we moved into our brand new house. I had picked in my new room in advance as I was putting my stuff in. As I opened the closet, I noticed this doll there. It was one of those troll-looking dolls, naked body, big nose, fluffy covered pink hair, brushed to the left. I was totally in love with it. My 13-year-old self thought it was so adorable, I always wanted one. I guess the previous owners had left it there. Being that I had one of those types of religious parents, I could never ever own one. Those types of parents that say everything is the devil and everything in his world is evil. Yeah, those type of parents. As soon as my mom saw me with it, she got so mad and grabbed the doll and threw it in the trash immediately. I remember getting into a huge fight with my parents about that doll. Big enough to where I went into my room and started crying. I hated them for doing that and basically taking away everything that made me happy. After a few weeks, we all got over it and everything went back to normal. We eventually were almost fully settled into our new home but needed a few more things around the house, so we went to our local swap meet after church one Sunday afternoon. My parents were looking at microwaves and literally next to it was an old lady with a stand selling antiques and old used toys. I went over and took a look, and the doll was there. I kid you not, the exact same one. It was the exact same one that my parents had thrown away a few weeks ago at the house. Looking back on it now, it was creepy as shit how it found its way back into my life. But at the moment, my innocent little mind didn't think nothing much of it, and I begged my parents to buy it for me since they were in a good mood. I managed to change their minds and I took it home for only $3. Everything was awesome. I used to spend hours with that doll as if it were my little friend since I wasn't allowed to have friends at home. I even named it Mikey. I literally had an emotional attachment to Mikey, and I wouldn't let anyone or anything mess with him. One night I was randomly awakened by a bright light shining right into my face. As I rubbed my eyes, I noticed it was coming straight from Mikey. His eyes were glowing. I ran and grabbed him and stood in shock. I had no idea these toys were capable of glowing eyes. This happened on a few other occasions as well, especially when my mom and dad weren't home. So I made sure nobody saw Mikey, or then they would surely make me get rid of him. Fast forward 3 years later, I was now 16. Eventually, I had kind of grown out of Mikey and I hit high school, but he still stayed in my room next to the rest of my stuffed animals. By this time, it had been years that I had even touched Mikey. I was doing my homework one late Tuesday night. My parents were at church, and then suddenly I hear Mikey say my name, and I totally flipped the fuck out. I mean, I was old enough to know that these toys weren't supposed to talk or glow or do anything like that. It was just a doll. A non-battery operated doll designed to do nothing. I remember my friend coming over the next day after I had told her about Mikey. We both decided it was best if we go and took the doll to a nearby creek. Shortly after I did, I had a small series of misfortunes happen to my family and I. I always, and still to this day, wonder if Mikey had anything to do with it. My friend Sal would always tell me of all the creepy stuff that would happen to his family down in Mexicali, Mexico. There's one particular story he mentioned about the woman you can find in the middle of the road of the night. Nobody knows for sure about this woman or spirit. There is a lot of debate as to what this woman actually was, whether it was the Wailer, Bloody Mary, or just the spirit of a woman who haunts the road, or just an actual human hitchhiker. Supposedly, she'll appear to you on that road heading into the village while you're driving at night. So I love stuff like that. So when he invited me to go visit his family on the weekend, it was a hell yes. We headed out there from Los Angeles down to Mexicali on a Friday night, leaving at about 8 p.m. after Sal got off work. Which of course meant that we would probably make it to that road at about midnight. As we got closer, we needed to drive a couple more deserted roads and hills to make it there. I'm not gonna lie, it was such a bust. Not only were we not seeing anything, but the conversation kind of died down as we were both very tired of sitting in the car for 4 hours. We were only 47 minutes out and I was so exhausted I was ready to call it a night. When suddenly the car mysteriously shuts down. "What the hell?" Sal said. "What's wrong?" I said. "We have a full tank of gas, what's going on?" Adrenaline pumping with fear as the both of us laid stranded on this hill with no lights, no people, and no car to get us anywhere. He tried it about 10 times to get the thing to turn on, and finally on the 11th it did. As soon as he hit the high beams, we were both paralyzed, frozen. It was the woman or spirit previously mentioned. We both stared at it for about 30 seconds before Sal said, "Should I go?" "Dude, just go!" As she just stood there with her hand up. As the car drove past her, she aggressively lunged at Sal's door. We immediately sped away and were able to get away from her. As I look back, I can see her disappearing into the darkness of the night. A couple seconds later, we heard a loud scream that will forever be engraved into Sal and I's subconscious mind. As we finally made it to Sal's family's house, we told them the whole story as how we were both still shaken up. A couple other smaller events happened to us on that trip, but we definitely decided to leave during the morning daylight hours to avoid another one. I really wish we knew the backstory to what we encountered that night, but I guess for now it's a mystery. I will keep you posted if I ever find out more.